John and Clara were eagerly preparing for their big day. But before the wedding, John had to travel to Switzerland for a work project. Every day, he pushed himself harder, racing against time to finish early and return home to the woman he had loved all his life. John and Clara's story went back to childhood. He had first met her through her brother, Ethan, who was also his best friend. Growing up as neighbors, John and Clara had shared countless memories, endless laughter, quiet moments, and a bond that only grew stronger with time. Now John, a talented young engineer, was working with an international construction company, planning to build a luxury resort and amusement park in his hometown. It was a dream project for him, yet his heart remained elsewhere, back home, where Clara was waiting to start there, forever. Meanwhile, in their hometown, Ethan had bought a grand old mansion as a wedding gift for the couple. Knowing that Clara was an archaeologist with a deep love for history, he believed she would fall in love with the place's vintage charm. He wanted it to be a surprise, a perfect gift for his sister and her soon-to-be husband. When Ethan shared the idea with John, John was overjoyed. A week later, John finally returned home. Instead of heading straight to Clara's house, he went directly to the mansion. He wanted to see the gift first, and to surprise Clara himself with a moment she would never forget. John arrived at the mansion just as the sun dipped behind the hills. The old house stood at the edge of the woods, grand yet eerily silent. Its weathered walls and ivy-draped windows seemed to whisper stories of the past. He stepped out of the car, smiling to himself. Inside, dust floated in golden beams of fading light. The house smelled of age and dampness. Clara will love this, he thought. But as he walked toward the front door, a strange chill swept through the air. The main door creaked open at the slightest push. But beneath that, there was something else, something faintly metallic. He called out, "Hello, Ethan, anyone here?" No answer. Only the echo of his own voice bouncing off the high ceilings. He explored room after room, admiring the antique furniture and faded portraits that seemed to follow his every move with their painted eyes. On the second floor, he found a long hallway lined with closed doors. The air there felt colder, heavier. One door at the very end was slightly ajar. From inside came a faint tapping, like footsteps or fingers brushing against wood. "Ethan," John called again. No reply. He pushed the door open. The room was dim, lit only by the dying light from a cracked window. At the center stood a tall mirror, covered halfway by a dusty white sheet. And in the mirror's reflection, John froze. Behind him stood a shadow, tall, still, almost human. He spun around. No one was there. His heart pounded. He turned back to the mirror. The shadow was closer now, which looked clear, a faint outline of a face, and eyes that glowed faintly, like embers in the dark. Then the lights flickered once, twice, and went out completely. In the pitch black, he heard a whisper close to his ear. "You came back too late, John." John froze. His breath caught in his throat as those words echoed through the darkness. "You came back too late, John." He spun toward the sound, but all he could hear was his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. The air felt heavier now, thick with a strange cold that crawled across his skin. "Who's there?" he shouted, trying to steady his voice. Silence, then a soft humming. It was faint, like a woman's voice, coming from somewhere downstairs. He followed the sound, step by step, each floorboard creaking under his boots. The humming grew clearer, hauntingly familiar. It was Clara's voice. John's chest tightened. "Clara," he called, rushing down the staircase. "Clara, is that you?" The humming stopped. When he reached the main hall, the chandelier above flickered once and burst, showering sparks that briefly illuminated the space, just enough for him to see something carved into the wall near the entrance. It was a date, April 18th, their wedding day. Beneath it, in uneven strokes, were the words, "Till death reunites us." John staggered back, his mind spinning. Was this Ethan's idea of a joke? He ran to the front door, but it wouldn't open. The lock jammed. Even the windows were sealed tight, as if the house itself didn't want him to leave. And then he heard footsteps on the upper floor. Slow, heavy, coming closer. "Ethan," John shouted again, his voice trembling now. No answer. As he looked up the stairs, a figure appeared at the top, its outline faint in the dark, yet unmistakably familiar. A woman wearing a white dress. His heart skipped. "Clara," he whispered. The figure didn't move. It only stared at him. Then, in a voice that wasn't quite hers, cold, distant, layered with pain, it said, "You promised you'd come back, John, but I waited too long." The lights flickered again, and when they steadied, the figure was gone. But from the shadows behind him came the sound of a door creaking open. John turned slowly toward the sound. The door that had creaked open was the same one leading to the basement. A faint, cold light flickered from below, like the glow of a candle, struggling against the dark. Every instinct told him not to go down, but something else, something stronger, pulled him forward. Maybe it was the thought of Clara. Maybe it was the voice that had sounded like hers. He descended the staircase, one careful step at a time. The air grew colder, damper. The smell of dust and metal thickened, and the faint candlelight revealed old wooden beams, rusty tools, and marks on the wall. At first, they looked like scratches, but as he moved closer, he saw they were letters. Names. Dozens of them. Each carved deep into the wall, some faded, some fresh. And then, his eyes froze on one. Clara. Right below it, John. His blood ran cold. He turned and found an old, half-open trunk. Inside were faded wedding invitations, his and Clara's names printed on them. But they were old, yellowed, brittle, as if they'd been there for decades. His trembling hands picked one up. The date on it was April 18th, 1984. That couldn't be. Their wedding was supposed to be next week. John. The whisper came again, right behind him. He turned sharply, and there she was. Clara, pale, beautiful, but wrong. Her eyes were distant, her smile faint, her dress old and torn, like she had been waiting for years in silence. Clara, he whispered, stepping closer. What happened? How? She reached out a cold hand and touched his face. You didn't come back in time, she said softly. The house kept me, it keeps all of us. Behind her, shadows began to form, figures of men and women in faded wedding clothes, standing silently in the dark, faces half hidden but eyes wide and hollow. He saw a flash in which Clara and others were burned to death. John stumbled back toward the stairs, but the steps had disappeared. Only a wall now stood where the staircase once was. The whispering grew louder, surrounding him from all sides. And in the candlelight, he saw Clara again, closer now, tears falling down her pale cheeks. Stay with me, John, she pleaded. Don't leave me again. The candle flickered out, and in that final moment of darkness, he felt her cold arms wrap around him. Then silence. Morning sunlight broke through the mist that hung over the woods. Birds chirped faintly, though the air still felt heavy, as if the night hadn't fully left. Ethan parked his car in front of the old mansion, carrying a wide grin. John had texted him the previous evening. I'll check out the house first. Maybe we'll surprise Clara together tomorrow. But now, as Ethan stepped out, something felt wrong. The gate was open. The front door, too. He called out, John. Only silence answered. Inside, the mansion looked untouched, but not in a peaceful way. Dust floated in the sunlight. The faint scent of burnt wax lingered, like a candle had burned itself out hours ago. John, are you here, mate? Ethan tried again, walking in. He checked each room, one by one. Everything was perfectly in place, until he reached the second floor. The mirror in the hallway was cracked clean down the middle, as though someone had struck it in panic. On the floor below the mirror lay something familiar. John's watch. It was still ticking. Ethan picked it up, frowning. That's when he noticed something odd about the reflection in the broken glass. Behind him, in the fractured shimmer, stood two figures, a man and a woman, both smiling faintly, hand in hand, in faded wedding clothes. Ethan turned around fast. No one was there, but on the wall beside the mirror, written faintly in the dust, were 4 words. He came back finally. Ethan's heart sank. He backed away slowly, clutching the watch in his fist. Then he looked once more into the broken mirror, where the reflection now showed the couple walking away into the light, disappearing through the mansion's door that no longer existed. And for the first time in years, the house felt quiet, peaceful, but Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that someone was still watching. Outside, as he walked toward his car, a breeze passed by, soft, almost warm, and in it a whisper floated gently. Thank you, brother. If you like this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Tale Heaven, where every story finds its soul. Stay tuned for the next mystery.